Hello and welcome to Secrets of Organ Playing podcast. We are your hosts, Vidas Pinkevičius
and Aušra Mutuzėtė Pinkevičienė.
We've been mastering secrets of organ playing for more than 20 years and sharing them on this blog since 2011.
On this show, which we create from our home in Vilnius, Lithuania, we strive to help you grow in every area of organ playing, including practice, technique, repertoire, sight reading, hymn playing, improvisation, composition, music theory, harmony, and many others.
Our hope is to help you become a complete musician, or what we call as total organist, a program which we have created to help you reach your dreams faster than you would do on your own.
If you are new here, we invite you to subscribe to receive free updates of this blog at organduo.lt. By subscribing, you will also receive free video how to master any organ composition and 10-day organ playing mini course.
And now let's go to the podcast for today. Hi guys, this is Vidas and I'm delighted to start this conversation with an American organist, Tyler Boehmer.
Howdy.
We are in our church right now, St. John's Church in Vilnius, and it's amazing how I met Tyler. I met Tyler at the 8th International Piano and Organist Competition of the name of Mikael Konstantinas Ciurlionis here in Vilnius. We're recording on the second day of the second round, right, Tyler? And just yesterday I was sitting in the church of St. Casimir's where the second round was going on, and Tyler played, by the way, fabulously, and I was very eager to talk to him. Thank you so much, Tyler, and welcome to the show.
Yeah, glad to be here.
So maybe I should introduce you a little bit to our audience from 89 countries, organists from around the world. Tyler Boehmer is an American organist and currently studying on the doctoral program with James Higdon at the University of Kansas. And with international acclaim for his keyboard abilities, he carries much promise as a future organ virtuoso. After completing undergraduate studies at Brigham Young University with Dr. Don Cook, Tyler moved to the University of Kansas to study with Dr. James Higdon. He has also been active in many national and international competitions. Recent accolades include first prize in the Miami International Organ Competition in 2019, second prize in the Sydney International Organ Competition in 2018, and the diploma prize in the Mikael Tariverdiev International Organ Competition 2017 in Kaliningrad, right? In Russia.
Yeah.
Besides attending school, Tyler also works for the church, where he plays for services and works with the children's handbell ensemble. In the future, he plans to become a university professor.
Yes.
Good. Nice, concise artistic biography, Tyler. At this age of your career, it's really important to explore as many avenues of artistic abilities as possible. Maybe competitions, maybe teaching, maybe church, maybe all combined things, right?
Yeah.
And maybe concert performances or even something else that hasn't been invented yet with technology that is available to us. So, Tyler, do you remember the first time you were introduced to the organ? It's a long time ago, right? Can you share the story?
Yes. So I actually, growing up, I heard the organ played in church, but it was never something that had attracted my attention until I was probably 13 or 14. I was in church one Sunday, and we had a new family who had moved into our congregation. And this lady, her name was Lisa Glade, she played a special music organ solo, and I had no clue that the organ could sound as cool as she made it sound. All of these brilliant sounds, all of these really beautiful colors coming together. I was hooked. And so I went to my piano teacher during my lesson that week, and I said, "Hey, can we get started on this?" And she looked at me and she said, "I can give you like one lesson, and that's about all I know." And so we did that, and we ended up playing a piano and organ duet a couple of Sundays later in church. And then she said, "If you're really serious about this, you have to go study with Lisa Glade. She has a master's degree in organ, and she actually knows what she's doing." So I started taking lessons with her, and it took off from there.
Wonderful. What was the first organ that you played with her?
It was nothing fancy. It was a small 2-manual electronic Rogers instrument, because that's what we had in the church, and that's what was available for me at the moment. So,
did you start with 8 little preludes and fugues or something else?
It's interesting that you asked that, because I don't remember ever actually studying any of the 8 little preludes and fugues with my teacher. Instead, I remember when I first started, I said, "I'm just here to learn how to play hymns for church." That was all I was going for. She later told me, I had other ideas, and so she started me into some Mendelssohn. I got started into some simpler Bach, the Cathedral Prelude and Fugue in E minor, those kinds of pieces. And some Brahms chorale preludes also. I remember doing those early years.
But you obviously had good piano background by the time, right? It's not easy to start completely from scratch with these pieces, right?
No, definitely not. And I'd taken piano for about 10 years previous to that, so I had a solid technical background in piano.
So what had interest you in the organ originally? Its mystique or the mechanical wonders, color palette, or the repertoire, maybe? I don't know. The hymns you said, right?
Yeah. Well, initially it was to play for church. I wanted to be able to provide a service and to share my talents more. And when I heard Lisa play, of course, it was the colors that drew me to it. I thought, oh, this is so, you listen to the piano, and really good pianos, really high quality pianos can make gorgeous different colors. But it's not the same as the organ, where you have more orchestral colors coming through. And so that was initially, and I think what's kept me going with it is the complexity, and all organs are different. I mean, I sit down at a different organ in a different church, and I'm playing a brand new instrument that has its own character, its own unique color palette. The acoustics shift how the organ sounds. I mean, everything it's so exciting every time you sit down to a new instrument.
It's not like when you sit down at the piano, right? It's still varied from instrument to instrument, but not as much as with the organ.
Exactly.
And every environment is different, right? You can put this instrument into a concert hall; it will sound like a dry instrument, right? Not as colorful. You put electronic organ in a fabulous space like the Church of St. Casimir's. By the way, they have this Allen digital organ downstairs. When you play it upstairs on the neo-Baroque organ built by Oberlinger, they have, and for a long time they had only electronic organ downstairs, which still sounded quite nice, under that dome where the jury was sitting yesterday. By the way, yesterday I tried to sit in front of the jury on the right-hand side, but they didn't let me. I wanted to see them. So it's a nice segue to our next turn of conversation topic about this competition, right? It's not the first time you compete. You are a quite experienced contestant. And what is your feeling about today's competition right now in Lithuania?
So far, it's been really cool. As I've done competitions over the past few years, I've gotten to know a lot of people, and so several of the people that I've met are here, and we just have a really good time. And I feel like we're all really here to support each other, not to necessarily go head to head. I mean, it is a competition, so we all understand that not everybody can move on and not everybody can be the winner, but we're all here to support each other. And as far as the organs are concerned, I've been really pleased with the churches and the organs that I've gotten to play. I mean, to be honest, coming from Canada and the United States, Lithuania was not on my radar much. But like I said, in the last few years, I've started to look into competitions more, and I discovered this one through some online searches. And one of my professors, Dr. Mikael Bauer, was a jury member here 4 years ago, and so I got to ask him about it, and he said, "Oh, you have to go. Lithuania is absolutely incredible. The organs are great. The competition is run super well." So
exactly. Everybody who visits Vilnius and comes to this church where we are right now, I later invite them to come climb the bell tower here of this church. It's the largest building in the Old Town area, even larger than the famous Gediminas Castle, which is down the street. And everybody who climbs that tower falls in love with the Baltics. But today it's closed because it's cold. It's only open until October.
Oh no!
So you have to come back.
Okay, well, right? I'll come back then.
And actually, competitions up until this year were held around the time where Mikalojus Konstantinas Ciurlionis was born, and it was around September 21st, 2nd, 3rd week of September, basically. Second half of the September, basically. Usually these competitions were held, but today, this time, I don't know why they moved. Maybe because the Philharmonic Hall is under construction. Only the announcement of the winners will be held there on Sunday, right? And maybe the piano winners will perform with the orchestra there. I think so, but that's why they don't use the organ at the Philharmonic Hall anymore, and that's why you will go to Klaipėda to play the final round.
I hope so.
Yes, I hope you will go. Yes, I said you, but I meant in general people who compete. So wonderful. People who come to Lithuania sometimes have never heard about this small country. We have. Up until now, the fastest internet connection in the world. But this morning I was going to church on the radio in the car. They announced that we are no longer number one.
Oh no!
Taiwan beat us.
Oh.
And Latvia and Estonia too. I mean, our internet is fast enough, right? As you can see, you get Wi-Fi connection pretty much everywhere, and quite fast connection. But technology is moving up in heaps and leaps, and it's hard to keep up. But we will have 5G soon enough, I think, within the next couple of years. Excellent. So we talked about your beginnings. How are you doing in Kansas? How do you like this program?
I love the program in Kansas. Part of the reason I picked it was, first of all, both of the professors at BYU had studied and gotten doctorates at Kansas, so they kind of pushed me a little to check it out. And when I was there, I fell in love with the organ hall. But more importantly, I felt like the professors, both Dr. Higdon and Dr. Bauer, wanted their students to be successful. And as I've been there, I've seen how many sacrifices, like they put in so much time, extra time that they don't have to give for extra lessons or preparation for competitions or upcoming recitals or whatever it may be, I see them sacrificing all this extra time to help us as students be successful. And for me, that's been the biggest reward of being there, is that I see them giving of themselves to help us as students be as successful as we can be.
That's really important, right? When you go to some other state that you haven't studied before, it's like a new place for you. And I remember when my wife and I we went from Eastern Michigan University, when we finished our master's study with Dr. Pamela Reuter-Finstra there, we were starting to look to the doctor programs, and Eastern Michigan University didn't have one. So we applied to several schools like Eastman School of Music, University of Michigan, Iowa, and also University of Nebraska in Lincoln. And we got accepted everywhere.
Oh.
But I'm not bragging. I'm just saying the reason we chose Nebraska is because of this really friendly atmosphere and this really personal care of the professors, both Dr. Quentin Faulkner and Dr. George Ritchie. They were like a family to us, and actually they visited Lithuania also, each of them with their spouses. And we showed them around. We actually went to that castle, to that bell tower with them, and to other interesting places. This relationship lasts for a lifetime, right? And I hope you will remain good friends and colleagues with Dr. Higdon and Michael Bauer too.
I hope so too.
For a long time. It's really important. And also with Dr. Cook too. Your first professor is sort of the one who will decide which direction you will go, right?
Yes. And he was really, Dr. Cook was really influential in a lot of ways. But one of the big things for me, I remember starting at BYU, and there was another freshman player who came in, and he was really good. I mean, he was playing, like Tui Petra by Moulet, and like I remember our first year there, he had started learning the de Massieu etude octaves, and I was over here and I'm like, I can play my little cathedral prelude and fugue, and I felt, a little bit like I was behind, but I never felt like Dr. Cook treated me any differently than any of the other students, and in fact I felt like he really pushed me to be my best. In every single lesson, he would focus on my technical aspects. I would think I was really hot stuff. I'd come in and I'm like, oh, listen to me play this piece, and he'd say, well, we have to work on your voice leading because right now your parts aren't really distinguishable in your Bach, and it really made me a really good listener and a really good player, and laid a good foundation.
You mentioned a little cathedral prelude and fugue, right, in E minor. And then look at you. You yesterday played BWV 548 prelude and fugue by Bach in E minor. And then C-sharp minor fugue by Mikalojus Konstantinas Ciurlionis, and this wonderful Eau Natale from poem pour orgue Eau Natale by Thierry Escache. I thought I talked with some of the Lithuanian organists afterwards. They all mentioned Thierry's work, that it's like a discovery for them, and somebody met him in other competition juries, and the artistic integrity of Thierry is amazing. Where other people on the jury, they go to on guided tours throughout the cities, sit in the restaurants or do something else. He just composes. He has this little notebook and he creates. He has this work ethic, very very valuable. I think he will become like the next Mikael, for example, because he's one of the few French organist improvisers who also composes, writes down what he plays.
I've heard Olivier Latry say that Thierry Escache is the best improviser in the world right now.
Improviser, but he also
But his
writes
compositions are top-notch.
Obviously, Naji Hakim also is, cannot be overlooked, and some others. But I was also wondering, when we go to Paris on tours and we visit those cathedrals and churches, and we hear fabulous improvisations by the French masters living today, old and young, up-and-coming organists, and I will also wonder why so few of them are composing, only improvise. Master like Latry, for example, is leaving us probably a lot of work for future transcriptions to do out of his videos and recordings. It's just a thought. Okay, so yes, you see, I thought your program yesterday was fantastic. Let me read a little bit about what you have played, because I have created a review and even made my score on the 10 scale basis from each of them.
Oh boy!
My alternate.
This will be interesting.
This is, yes.
That's I was in group 1. This is group 2.
This is group 2. So let me pull up group 2. Group 1 is right here. Right. The first one was South Korean guy, right? Johan Chung.
Johan Chung, yeah.
Who played BWV 548, and then Ciurlionis fugue, obviously, and then Laudes by Peter Eben, the first piece. I haven't summarized my ratings, but for the technique I gave him 7, registration 8, artistry 7. And then for Ciurlionis fugue I gave him technique 9, registration 7, artistry 7. And then the loudest piece I wrote technique 6. I hope he is fine with this. It's not official. It's just my personal opinion. Registration 9 and artistry 7. All right, and then the next one is Tyler number 2. When you played the Bach E minor prelude and fugue, I wrote for you technique 9, registration 9, and artistry 9.
Oh, okay.
Look, what I wrote. The next contestant is number 2, Tyler Jason Boehmer from the United States. His BW 548 unfortunately starts with a mistake in the pedal part.
That's so true. I went to hit one of the octave A's and I hit a G and I thought, oh, that's really exciting. It was an appoggiatura or something.
Yes. A nice solid tempo carries him further without any problems.
Okay.
At least in the prelude, he has a better feeling for articulation and harmonic changes than the previous organist. You see, sometimes people play like machines, like very fast and virtuoso. We know they can play fast. It's not about being the fastest, right? It's about who listens the most. The fugue proves this as well. Those 16-note runs. He doesn't use posaune in the fugue and instead uses trumpet. Am I right?
Yes, that's correct.
What is your reason for reducing the?
So I initially had tried it with the posaune. And when I went back and listened before my performance to the registrations, I just felt like the posaune wasn't giving me quite the speech and articulation that I wanted, so I just ended up not using it for that, so that I could have. I felt like I needed a clearer articulation for the pedal in the fugue. So.
Yes, posaune would have been a little harder to make it clear amongst those 16 note runs. But I've heard some people use that quite successfully as well. So the next piece on the program is Natal from Poème pour orgue Natal by Thierry Escache. This is a mysterious sounding piece combining elements of modal writing and exploration of organ colors. Stop changes sometimes come too late.
Oh,
That's
no.
not your fault. That's assistant's fault.
It was partially to the combination action was a little slow, and so she would push it, and then it would be slightly, like just a half a second behind when she pushed it. So she tried to adjust, but it is what it is.
Who was your assistant?
I don't know her name actually, but
Tall girl?
But I will give her flowers because she did fantastic. So
she came up to me yesterday after everything and told very good words about your playing. And she was my former student, by the way. Her name is Eglė Rudokaitė, and she's now studying at the Academy of Music.
Cool.
Doing her bachelor's studies. And I can just imagine how she would have played or performed in this competition as well, because I hope
she was really she's really excellent. I mean, she was with me the whole time, never a beat behind, and so I was very happy.
Maybe next time. So I wrote for you for the piece of Thierry Escache, Technique 10, registration 8. It's not your fault. And then artistry 10.
Yeah. It was hard to register on that organ too, because a lot of the colors that Thierry calls for weren't on that that German neo-Baroque style instrument. So I had to be quite creative with some of the things that I chose to do.
Exactly. The Ciurlionis fugue is left for the end, and I write, he chooses a nice sounding flute for the E major episode. Do you remember this middle section after the exposition? But some stop is added not on time. That's not your fault. Or sometimes actually it is organist's fault if the nodding is not done a little bit earlier. It's hard to know what's happening. I just wish sometimes that we had this screen cast downstairs in front of them, so that everybody could see what's happening. Like sometimes they do in the festivals. The same happens in the pedals later. I just have to say that this flute episode is better for my taste than the previous organist chose. 8 and 4 foot flutes. Did you use this well or the choir?
It was actually the positive. The 4 flute.
The first manual. Because yes, the swell is deep inside the organ, is not as in the face, and then Oberwerk sounds really, or the positive sounds really clear and colorful at the same time. Good choice, I think. So sometimes I thought you forget to breathe during that fugue. Am I right?
Yes.
When you play,
yes.
With this excitement. And I wrote Technique 9, registration 8, artistry 9. Not a big deal, obviously. So we could talk for hours about other contestants, but I think I want to talk about you as well. And
well, I have to say, just real quick, appreciate the comments and the feedback. And I've really enjoyed getting to know these Lithuanian pieces, especially the how do you say his name?
Ciurlionis.
Ciurlionis. Okay.
Ciurlionis. Yes.
The 2 fugues that all the competitors had to learn, I think, are really beautifully constructed, really gorgeous pieces, and I just, I plan to program this C# minor fugue in particular in a couple of upcoming recitals that I have, because I just think it's a really gorgeous piece and easily accessible for the average audience member. So.
Exactly. And it's unusual to end the piece end the program with the rather small piece like a Ciurlionis, not a very dramatic for example, Reger's, fantasy and fugue. It's also romantic, but more gentle. Would you like me to read what I wrote about your first round?
Sure. It's fine.
I wasn't rating people at the time. Maybe I should. I can go back and
it's
and I can have my own second round. 12 people chosen. Maybe I'll do that if I have time. So the number 2 on the menu is Tyler Jason Boehmer from the United States. This is about round 1. He also started with the Preludium with Nikolaus Bruns.
Oh, how the judges made it through 23 of those.
Yes.
That is a lot.
Lucky for us, about 6 people didn't come to the competition, right? And therefore we have less to listen.
So they could have had 29, is what you're saying.
During the opening section, a nasty cipher in C sharp disturbed playing for a minute or so.
I know the C sharp the cipher couldn't have picked a chord, a note that was in the E minor chord. It had to pick C sharp,
What could you have done differently? Maybe you could have modulated to. Let me see. What key would work with C sharp?
To F sharp minor.
But which would work with E minor as well, like a dominant.
Oh yeah.
Subdominant. A major maybe.
A major would have worked. Yeah.
I would have loved the jury's reaction to that. What's happening? And you would have played everything in A major from that point on. Okay. Luckily, the organist kept playing almost like nothing happened. Almost, right?
Yeah. Well, I just kind of looked at my assistants, and they kept trying to find which key it was, and I think they had a cipher on that key earlier in some of the practices, and so they knew. They knew, yeah. It just because I was still playing, they couldn't reach in and grab it.
But you see how important sometimes for the organist is to have the perfect pitch, right? To know exactly which note is sticking, right? Or to develop perfect pitch. Not everybody is born with perfect pitch. I don't think people are born with perfect pitch. Do you?
No, not
they
necessarily. So it's I think it's a developed technique.
In the first fugue, he felt relaxed enough to add interesting ornaments. Oh, nice.
Good.
In the fugue, not in the next episode. The opening was with mixtures and reeds. And the fugue to me sounded performed with a single 8-foot principle both in the hands and feet. Am I right?
Yes, that's correct.
Very nice. The fanfare section was played with or without the reeds or mixtures. I wrote without. Go figure.
It was without.
Without. I think maybe principles 8, 4, and 2.
Also correct, yes.
Good guess. The arpeggio section, which imitates the violin, was played with the 8-foot flute accompanied by the 16-foot subas alone. Yes?
Yeah, I think I had coupled in the 8-foot flute into the pedal, but it was still the 16-foot subas is quite
I didn't hear the coupler. Then we hear crescendo with the gradual addition of principles and mixture. I liked nice flourishes and what he did between the phrases. How did you come up with that improvisatory elements yourself or James Higdon?
So actually, this was a piece that I had studied when I was doing a semester in Germany just this last spring with Professor Eduardo Bellati. And so he helped me to sort of develop some of these ideas, and I came to him and said, what do you think of this? And I remember he said, be progressive with it. He said, start that first phrase, be very simple, play it fairly straightforward. Then in the next phrase, add in your extra ornaments, and then in your final phrase, add in your roulades and your your really big flourishes going into that. So,
Good idea.
and I liked that progressive idea, and so I tried to apply it. So,
I hope I can interview Eduardo Bellotti one day on this podcast. Mr. Eduardo, if you're hearing our conversation, please reach out. We would love to interview you. And by the way, Hans Davidsson, the colleague of Eduardo and who is leading Gothenburg International Organ Academy, is going to be our guest next January. He has big plans for the future, so he scheduled a few months in advance. Looking forward for that. So now let's see what else. After this, we hear crescendo with the gradual addition of principles and mixture and nice flourishes, right? Between the phrases. In the second fugue, he added the reeds. That's right. In the jig, right?
yes.
Do you think it's a jig or something else?
It feels jig-like
jig
to me. Yeah. So.
Yeah, I didn't use the term jig because some people uses different terminology for this dance. It could be something else, but second fugue is very objective. I think everybody can relate. Maybe because of the excitement, a few mistakes could have been heard in the middle of it. Do you remember?
Yes.
The end of the piece was solid but a little bit rushed. Do you remember those?
Yes.
To me, I don't know how you felt. Good. Let's see. Next, he played Chorale Prelude Alain Gott in der Hörsaire, BWV 676.
One of my favorites.
Yeah, from the Klavierübung, I think.
Yes.
Part 3. Started quite fast and thought at this speed he will not be able to listen to intricate contrapuntal work of the composer.
I did get started and I thought, oh, it's a little faster than I wanted to go, but I tried to just gradually settle it into a more comfortable tempo and, rather than try and maintain what felt a little too quick. So.
Look, the organist chose to use the principles 8 and 4 in both hands on different manuals, and for the pedals, principles 16 and 8. Was that accurate?
For the most part, I think I used the Subas 16 in the pedal and then the principal 8. Yeah.
Only 8 and Subas 16. Okay. Sometimes I get mixed up with what I hear. Luckily, I was live in the room, because for some rounds, for some groups, I listened from the live stream, and it was much different. And I had to predict something else. What is really happening in the room? Right. In the second half of the chorale prelude, the tempo was normalized, and I didn't hear any rushed passages.
Hooray!
Good for Bach and for Tyler. Good. The program concluded with Inspiration by Vytautas Barkauskas, Lithuanian living composer, which was one of the 5 or 6 or 7 pieces
that you could choose between.
Yes. Why, by the way, why did you choose this piece?
It's a good question. And so when I was looking through all of the pieces, I didn't really know how any of them sounded, and I tried to find YouTube recordings, and there really weren't very many pieces that I could find on YouTube.
Yes.
And so one of my considerations was, what piece can I look at objectively, and do I feel like I can make this into a good piece, make it my own, essentially. And there were 2 or 3 that jumped out, and I approached my professor and said, what do you think of these ones? And he said, I think they would all be good choices. And eventually I went with this one because I liked the contrasting opening, middle, closing sections, the fast, slow, fast kind of feel. So
I wrote that this piece has many echo passages between the hands and curiously sounding posaune exclamation in the pedals. Like a lot of Lithuanian organ pieces, it sounds like improvisation without too much thought about the form. Three-note motif is repeated and developed constantly. I thought the soft sections were done nicely. The reed sections can serve like a nice demonstration of posaune and other stops, right?
Yeah.
So I didn't rate you.
Which, by the way, this piece was a lot harder when I started learning it than I originally thought it would be. I mean, it was very challenging. And when I played it in Kansas, everybody there really loved the piece. They thought it was fantastic, and I do too. So good on you, Barkauskas.
Yeah, Barkauskas. Actually, Lithuanian composers could create more organ music than they do now. Maybe it's because organ is not the most popular instrument in Lithuania nowadays, but also because it is often associated with the church, and real well-established composers are more likely to compose something for concert instruments, right? For orchestral instruments, but on the other hand, I think organists could compose more. Lithuanian organists could compose more, promoting their own music, playing it, and therefore you could find more organ music recordings on YouTube.
Well, I thought it was interesting in your. We were talking a little bit earlier. Sorry, this was pre-recording, but now we'll try and get it on the recording.
Yes.
About your previous podcast about writing one composition a week for 27 years.
Yes, by Carson Kuhlman, American composer, whom I interviewed last week. He's a champion of creating something new every week, and I really counted 1,300 opuses. Not everything is available on his website, but he counts them diligently, and he's done this since 1992, I think. Yeah, it's really amazing.
Yeah, that's quite impressive and really inspiring, and I think really important development of compositional technique. I think at least what I see when I look at the composition students at the university, they tend to write a composition and then they spend what feels like an exorbitant amount of time, years, refining and reflecting and changing and shifting just this one composition. Now, I'm not saying that is necessarily a bad thing, but I think it prevents them from getting more compositions out there, which in my mind, I would like more, and also on a more personal note, it's something for me to work towards as an organist. I've dabbled here and there in composition, but I haven't ever tried to stick to a regimented, I will compose this much, every week, and it's really inspiring to hear that that's possible, and also to feel like that would be something that's really worthwhile.
Yeah, it's inspiring to me too, to know that other people are doing this. It's not like only Bach wrote over 1,000 pieces, right, that are attributed to him. No, living composers are doing this today. And he said some of the pieces are really small, last for a couple of minutes. And some of them are very long, like a multi-sectional.
And not every piece has to be this grand masterpiece. I mean, I think that is also a misconception by a lot of us, myself included, is that, my piece, it's not the most amazing piece I've ever composed, so it's not worth anything, which is not true. All of these pieces are important and help us to learn, and also can be used.
The world doesn't need another Bach, right? And when I think I improvised 7 chorale preludes back when I was studying at Eastern Michigan University with Dr. Pamela Rotter-Finstra, and then transcribed them to music notation and submitted to the editor Wayne Leopold for possible publication in the United States. And he wrote to me, very nice, but you cannot beat Herr Bach, It does it in Bach style. Sounded more like Krebs, not Bach actually, because it was like a student of Bach. And I thought after that, but I like this style, so and for a long time I was improvising in Baroque style. And only maybe 10 years ago, or maybe 9 years ago, I started dabbling with modern musical language, which actually was facilitated by me teaching theory, music theory and air training at the art gymnasium here in Vilnius. And I got to know music theory much better from this perspective. And my own playing also changed, and improvisation changed, and I started to composing modern music too. And I now think that no, the world doesn't need another Bach, but whoever is composing the world is, still needs you. The world needs Tyler. Because there is only one Tyler, right? And he is still developing and still can do so many things. Just like Thierry Escache, right? I think he has the chance of becoming the next great master of French organ literature because of his output and work ethic. Like the next Jean Guillaume or Langlais or even Messiaen, right? Messiaen has his own brand, but Escache is a wonderful improviser, and your playing of his piece yesterday proved that everybody was amazed too. I talked with members of the jury as well, who were Lithuanians, and I don't know how they rated your playing, but they said great things about the piece itself. So I do hope that you will pass through the final round.
I hope so too. We'll find out in like 8 hours or so?
Yeah, they will announce later tonight. Later today we'll go to listen to the rest of the performances. How many? Five people
today.
Left. It will be a long audition.
Yeah, I think it's
without
no pause.
Intermission. To sit on wooden benches for 2.5 hours, it's a challenge. Yes, but it's like organ Olympics, I would say, in Lithuania, this competition, except without Lithuanian organists. No Lithuanian, you see, only international organists are participating. Why is it so, do you think? Do you have an opinion? And no Latvian, no our friends from Latvia who would usually come and compete as well.
I don't really know. I mean,
can't say, right?
I can't say. Yeah.
But we have many Koreans now, like twice as many as in previous competitions. So they double the chances at winning in competing in bunches.
I did think it was really cool 4 years ago that a Lithuanian competitor was the winner. That was really...
Yeah, Caroline. Mona.
And before that, Carolina.
Yeah, they both are very, very good performers. Good. Thank you so much, Tyler. I really hope we meet again. I know that after this conversation, when we turn off the recording, I will give you a chance to play this largest pipe organ in Lithuania.
I can't wait.
And you will have to say how would your program have sounded on this instrument, on the first round or the second round. That would be interesting, right?
Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you guys for listening. This was Vidas.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Yes, and remember, when you practice, miracles happen.
It is true. Put in the time, and it will come.
Yes, and maybe you can participate in international organ competitions this way if you practice. For how many years are you practicing?
With organ. 13, 14 years
Yeah,
now.
It takes...
So
the first 20 years are difficult and the rest is easy.
Oh, is that how it works? So I've only got,
6
more years of hard practice.
And by the way, before we end, Tyler, Do you have a place for our listeners to go find out more about your work, your website, Facebook page, YouTube channel, anything?
Yeah, so I have a website. It's just my name, tylerboehmer.com. Very simple.
Mhm.
And it has a few YouTube videos on there, some biography. You can go and listen to more of my playing and enjoy.
Let's spell it out because some people
Oh, yes.
will not see the transcript or the description. Just here. Can you
Yeah,
spell it
so
out?
T as in tiger, YLER, B as in boy, OE, H as in hat, M as in marshmallow, ER.com.
Very nice.
I've had to spell that for many a person on the phone, so.
You can almost create a short story out of your first and last name.
Yeah.
Excellent. All right, guys. See you at the competition, last group, second round later today. And I hope to write another review and post it on our website, organduo.lt.
All right, see you later.
This blog is supported by Total Organist, the most comprehensive organ training program online, where you will find courses for every area of organ playing, including technique, practice, sight reading, repertoire playing, hymn playing, improvisation, composition, music theory and harmony, with hundreds of scores and thousands of exercises. Here is what some of the students are saying.
Hugh writes, "The sight reading course has helped me tremendously. Thank you very much for your essays, courses, and all your help."
Robert writes, I found the fingerings, registration ideas, and general comments to be excellent.
John writes, "I have found your download very helpful. It was really excellent. I have watched some of your teaching videos, and when I read your instructions, I tried to imagine you are there teaching me. You may feel disappointed that I am 2-3 days behind, but I am a slow learner, and I have committed to taking the time to get it right, as you say. But the other night my wife commented that she had never heard me play such a detailed melody in the left hand so well. My left hand is generally poor."
Robert writes, it has been a great pleasure in my life of having discovered your courses and material as well as the YouTube work of recordings. You have a calm and pleasant way of teaching.
Ron writes, "Hi Vidas and Ausra, thank you guys. What a wonderful response to my email note to you. You've got me right, and I feel you understand my level of playing. Yes, at home, and lucky that I have an organ for that reason. I am paying attention to this, and I am going to try this haha no longer secret model. Yes, and I love Cesar Frank too. What is very nice about your blog podcast is that Ausra and Vidas are like a Socratic dialogue, and by bouncing things off of each other, so much more information comes out and is expressed. Your comments contain a wealth of information and understanding. I really appreciate this. It is very inspiring and will keep us moving forward."
Would you like to receive the same or even better results that our students are getting? If so, join them at organduo.lt/total-organist. And of course, you will get the first month free too. You can cancel anytime.
Also, if you haven't yet subscribed to receive free updates of this blog, make sure you do that at organduo.lt. By subscribing, you will also receive free video, how to master any organ composition, and 10-day organ playing mini course.
This was Vidas.
And Ausra from Secrets of Organ Playing.
And remember, when you practice,
Miracles happen.